Well, hi everyone. Welcome to StreamYard Tech Talk, the show where we take StreamYard beyond what is typically the easiest way to go live. And we're going to help you go live today in a more engaging manner. We've got a great show with an amazing guest. I'm really excited about this one. To introduce the guest, I will introduce our, wait a second. Hold on a second. Let me take a look at the run of the show here. I'm messing everything up. That's a cold open. We've got to show the invite you. Let's invite you all to join the show. So if you want to join the show today, ask your questions, tell your stories. Join us right here on the studio. Just use this link and you can come in live, ask your questions, or share your stories of how you make your show more engaging. And we'll be right with you right after this intro. See you in a sec. I'm botching everything up. Where's my intro? Here we go. So let's bring on our my co-host, my producer for this show, Joanne Watt. Hi, Joanne.
Hey, everyone. Thanks for joining us today with today's Tech Talk. I'm super excited about this one. We have John Pullum with us today. He has so much experience. He's done so many different things. He's hosted almost 100 and co-produced and produced 100 StreamYard shows with Franz Harari. They interview illusionists, magicians. It's really, really neat. We'll post the links for you to check out later. He's also hosted and produced dozens of shows on the Discovery Channel. So we are very excited to have John Pullum with us today. Rah, rah, rah. Welcome, John.
Thank you so much. I watched your show, Daniel, and Joanne, thanks for reaching out.
Sure.
It's like diving into a show that I watch all the time and respect you guys so much. So thanks for inviting me.
Oh, wow, that's so cool. Yeah, it's really exciting because today we're going to be talking about how to make your shows more visually interesting and visually appealing, which is a topic that's super interesting for all of us. We all know the two talking head show, which is a tendency that we all have. Just have two talking heads on the screen, three right now. And we know that in today's world, people will just go scroll when there's no change on the screen, right? And since we're all stuck at home, we can't change our physical environment, right? That's fixed. So we could do a few little things like raise a glass or do the little things like that. But how do we make the show, the environment, StreamYard environment we work in, more visually engaging? That's what today's show is going to be about. So again, if you guys want to have your own tips, your own questions, bring them on, showcase what you've got. But today, we've got the master at this topic because Paul, you've produced the kind of shows that are just bite your hands, see behind the scenes. You produce the kind of shows that that have to be visually engaging. So tell us a little bit about the kind of shows you produce and a little bit about yourself. And let's start with that.
I've been in the entertainment business since I was like 7. I would do shows out of my bedroom window. There would always be a knock on the window from neighborhood kids, some younger, some older than me, wanting to know when the next show was. I loved making people happy and laugh and learned magic when I was little. I started doing it professionally, making money at it when I was 16 and ended up, after I had a regular job for a while, I quit at 23, toured Japan, met my wife over there. She was in the entertainment industry as well. Ended up coming back here to the States. I landed a TV gig with magician Franz Harari because of him, longtime friend, and ended up doing a couple dozen shows for the Discovery Channel. I co-produced a game show, but I've always been doing the speaking, entertainment, YouTube, a little bit of everything, and I went to broadcast school, so I kind of know how to keep the audience involved, interact, because even on the live shows that I do on stage, they're only one push away, as others have said, to look at their phones, especially now, or to flip to another channel if they're watching you on StreamYard or something else. So I try to keep them engaged and, like right now, if you're new here, type new in the comments. If you have been here before and saw one of his shows, be sure to type in, and I'm trying to find it right here, your favorite emoji. Post your favorite emoji right now in the comments to let us know that you're a regular and coming back here. Little things like that just keep the audience involved, interacted, so they have to keep on their toes and keep watching your show, because once again, they're only a click away from going somewhere else.
Masterful. I love that. So we'll dive into the tech of how you just did that little trick, and
magic.
It's magic. Yeah, there you go. Magic. The little magic tricks that we all need to do. So maybe that should be the theme. So maybe we start with this little magic trick you just did, like post your emojis and actually show emojis falling down the screen like that.
Yes, I used I'm on a Mac, and I have a thing called Ecamm, and I just inserted a graphic that I got off of Storyblocks. Storyblocks can be found if you go to the resource page on my website. It's pullum.com/resources. You can find all the things that I'm talking about as well. And so I just did that overlay in Ecamm. Another thing I did was on a Mac, importing sounds into StreamYard is very, very difficult. But I think I used a thing called Loopback. I watched Livestream Pros and Luria Petrucci in India talked about Loopback a couple episodes ago on their channel. So I can now put music and everything else into my shows to make it more, once again, more interactive for the people, more engaging, more exciting for the viewers, both, audio and visual. If they hear things going on, they'll definitely want to turn and watch. So yeah, it was a simple push of the button on my Stream Deck. I'll bring up my setup here. I have a Stream Deck. You can see that on the left, right next to my the YouTube formula book that I'm diving into. I have a Husky workbench /desk from Home Depot where I can put it up higher or lower. You can see the one ring light there. I have another light to my left, and I have what 25 years ago I used to call it a hair light behind me, but now it's a ball light.
It took me 2 seconds to get that.
It took me a second. I have a Samsung G-Track Pro microphone. I ended up putting it on an arm, and I have my headphones. Also, Luria Petrucci at Live Streaming Pros suggested it. I have the behind the head ones as well, and that's on my resource page on the Amazon store. I have a backdrop that is very, distracting in a way, and that's actually a lot less stuff than I had on it before. But I just this is what I use. I'm using AverMedia webcam for this. I have a Canon for my regular videos, and I got it at Costco. It's on sale right now at Costco. I think it was like $50 on sale for usually $80, and it does a trick. So yeah, it's all right here down my basement.
Down in your basement, yeah, and a good internet connection. That's the key.
80 shows I did with just Wi-Fi, and I recently drilled holes in my floor upstairs and wired Ethernet. But 80 of the 100 shows, all Wi-Fi, and it worked pretty good most of the time.
Okay, awesome. Yeah, you mentioned you ran through a bunch of stuff here. So let's slow down a bit. So you showed a video, basically a video overlay, which you could just put right in StreamYard, just add the overlay, and you got the video from Storyblocks. I want to just give a shout out to my good friends at Wave.video. You could get a lot of free videos there and customize them, edit them. That's where I made my intro for this show. And you just add them in as an overlay, and then you can use them as segments, changes. We've talked about that in the past, where you have if you have a structured show and you have segments, you can put a little intro to each segment, give it a little bit of structure, which I failed to do in this show. And then also, like you said, you can also use other software like Ecamm, OBS, other more complex softwares to do it as well. But essentially, it's just a clip of video. Can you do it again for us?
Yes, let me find it again. That's all it is, a clip of video, and then they all go over. Some of the overlays that I had on, and I usually, some of the overlays that I had on that I got off of Storyblocks was just all black for whatever reason, but this one worked. I also, hopefully we won't have any more in Michigan. I have the snow effect as well. That was through Livestream Pros. And then I also listened to Mel on a StreamYard episode, and I started to make these little GIFs or GIFs. What do you say, GIF or GIF? Put in the comments.
I get hives when I hear GIF, but I know the technically correct answer is GIF.
So these are a couple that I made, and Franz Ferrari, my magician friend, I made one that looked, with his promo picture. And then in my intro, I always tell people to subscribe to my YouTube channel and be sure to click that like button, the bell notification. So I made one of these, and these are all the GIFs as well, which I don't know, maybe the emoji one would, maybe I could convert that to a GIF as well, but it's just such a big file and so, visual that I, just have it over on my StreamYard, but I like it.
Yeah, I've played around with converting videos into GIFs. Let's see. Oh, I removed it from here. I had countdown clocks, etc. I just took countdown timer videos and put them in the logo section. It'll accept animated GIFs. So in the logo section in StreamYard, you can actually put an animated logo or countdown timer, etc. So if you have a little video, you can take a video of yourself, like a 5-10 second video of yourself doing and put it in the logo section. So it'll show up right around. Let me just do this.
And it can be a video or a GIF file?
No, it'll be a GIF file. So it'll show up right there, right?
That's great.
Right, so that's a little trick. You can also put in the backgrounds an overlay. In the backgrounds, you can put GIFs as well. So your background can be moving.
Ooh,
and I've played around with that as well. So it can get a bit much if it's too much motion, right? So it has to be something very subtle.
The thing that I love about StreamYard, early on when we were doing the show, they reached out to Franz, and then he's like, go to John, because I'm like the air traffic controller. I'm the plate spinner behind the scenes and trying to look at the camera and do everything as I'm typing, just like Joanne. And when you give them suggestions at StreamYard, they seem to listen. And the things that are going on now with the share of the video and everything else is just incredible. There's so many companies that start and just stay the same. StreamYard's really, really progressed since we hit the go live button the first time. It's just such an amazing product. And if you don't have it, you should get it.
Awesome. Thanks for the shout out. Yeah. And for anybody who's watching, we do have a show every Sunday night on the same channel, wherever you're watching this right now, our town hall meeting. And Dan Engage, our founders, will answer your questions, take your suggestions. A lot of our feature developments come from there. And that's just religiously every Sunday night they do this. So I think we've already gone to like 100 more shows already right there. So yeah, we like to listen, and we've just had a ton of new developers. So we're going to expect.
You like to listen and you take action on what people are saying. There's two different things. That's a great thing. Boone was asking, so there is a way to, that's the one thing that every time I go to another comment, there is a way to use StreamYard with, or the Stream Deck through StreamYard, and that is through, Cam is what I'm doing it right now.
Yeah, so Stream Deck with StreamYard right now, not officially, not yet. There are some hacks that you can find online. They're very complex to create. Essentially, you have to create a toolbar. There's a show about this, and some users have created toolbars or Chrome extensions that will take some of the code and create shortcuts out of it and connect, and then you program that into a Stream Deck. Very complex. You don't want to do it if you're not like an Uber nerd, but you could do that. We're coming out with shortcuts, etc. We're working on that. So I know we've been talking about this for a long time, but it is coming. We are working on it.
And I apologize to Joanne because I just went full screen to Daniel. I'm not the producer of the show, but I was telling them before the show, I'll watch other StreamYard shows on YouTube or Facebook. And when somebody starts to talk or somebody starts to do something, just out of habit, after doing 100 of these, I go to go to look down to the bottom under the video to click them to come. And I'm like, oh, it's not my show. I'm not the one producing this. That's just getting visually like this right now. You can see both of our reactions, which is another thing that I love that StreamYard added. You have to keep it visually entertaining for your audience at all times, because I am so ADD that visually, if you're not keeping me occupied, even if your information is great, I'm out of there. So once again, Joanne, sorry that I
also want to point out to you guys watching, not just the tech, it's also best practices. So if you watch Paul, he's actually using a lot of his hand gestures, facial expressions, so a lot of that creates a visual, or the visual engagement, right? And look at the gaze. Look at that. Look at the look in the eyes and size.
Do you want to know a secret about my gaze? For 80% of the shows I've done with Franz Harari, I have to take off my glasses to read the comments because I don't have bifocals. So I would read the comments and put my glasses back on to talk to the camera, read the comments, and I'd have people commenting, keep taking your glasses off. So a little secret, I have 2 pairs of glasses like this. I took this pair to Costco and asked the wonderful Jess behind the counter, can you prop out the lenses for me? So that's a little secret. I have my normal glasses. And the funny thing is, sometimes, I'll have my one glasses on my top of my head and the other one on. But yeah, you pop out the lenses. So I don't have, because there's some people that we have on the show that their glasses are these are the anti-glare or whatever, but all you can see is their computer. So there's times that I'll keep these glasses on and I'll go out of my office and go upstairs. I'm like, man, the room. Oh, I don't have my glasses in. But this is my character. This is my, my pictures. If I did the whole show like that, it wouldn't look like me. So yeah, you just pop the lenses out. I took the lenses back and they can plop them in when I want to. But yeah, that's how I'm able to gaze and not have any reflection. And another thing, sorry to bring this up, Daniel, but you called me Paul a couple of times. My name is John, but here's the deal. You could call Dan or Dan, whatever, you could mess up. Since I was little, anybody that messed up my name, John, 99% said Paul. And I don't know why. Maybe because it's Pullum, but I've been called Paul forever. It's like Rob or Bob or Mary or Marie. I mean, John and Paul are 2 different things. So when you said Paul, I'm like, that's the most common mispronunciation of John, and I don't get it, but it's so funny. Yes, and I see Jennifer, a friend of mine. We see Lillian is here, Andy is here, Teddy Bear is here. So many people are here. That's another thing I'll do during Franz's show. You want to call people out. You want to engage your audience. You want to bring up their names. You want to, costume company, different names throughout your show because you're drawing. Chad, great to see you here. And he said it's spelled GIF. There you go, instead of GIF. It's good to interact your audience that way too. So not only visual, bring them in by saying their names, especially in the beginning of the show and, during it and whatever, because they'll say, come here, hey, they just talked about me. Hey, come over here. They'll tell people or share it because they were called out during the show. So another way to interact your audience is by saying their names, even if you screw it up, because we have people from India and everywhere else tuning in for Franz's show. Jennifer is here in Redford where I live. She's an admin on a neighborhood watch site I have. She's beyond wonderful. And, just including your audience right from home.
Yeah, because the show ultimately is for the audience, right? And I think it helps to think of them not as audience, but as people. There are a set of friends, a set of people out there, right? And that's the way I think of it. You're not the audience. You're not my audience. That was the mistake I made for many years, thinking I'm speaking on a podium to an abstract concept of audience. No, I know you. I know some of you I know well. Some of you I don't really know well, but we're having a conversation here, and the conversation can happen through these comments, And it could happen through visual conversation or by bringing people in or by acknowledging. All of these are conversations. And so, yeah, it doesn't matter if I call you Paul or if I call you John,
as long as it's right on the chat.
As I'm talking to you, right? You were so gracious about that, John. I appreciate it.
I've been called worse. I've been called worse. Another thing that I like to do is look at the camera as much as possible, although I am looking at different things.
Yeah.
Whatever. I can see out of my peripheral vision. I can see down here. I can see you, basically. But I try my best during the show to look at the camera. Yeah, I'm not looking at you directly right now, but I'm looking at you through their camera. And I know it's very difficult because you see a lot of shows where people are like that. Yeah. And picture this. Picture you're at dinner with somebody. They're on their phone or they're looking everywhere else, especially if it was a date or whatever, job interview. You're not connecting with them. You're not interested in them. You're looking everywhere else when they're talking or whatever. You're not looking at them when you're talking to them. And there's that disconnect with people. So I try my best. It's difficult on Franz's show when you go and watch Franz's show later, which there's one tonight as well. We have a guest from Italy, live from Italy, and another one from Hollywood. It's tough for me to do that because I'm the producer and I'm doing all that. Yeah. Jennifer said she first met me in 1997. Man, it's been a long time ago. 2 years after I shaved my head. I can't be looking at the camera all the time. I try when I'm on camera, but I am the one like Joanne right now, looking at the comments, trying to bring things up, and deal with all that as well. But if you can, look at the camera as much as possible. And I've even learned. You know where the mouse is, and I can switch from camera to camera while looking at the camera. It takes a little practice, and you screw things up, but it's not the end of the world.
Chad, my good friend Chad here is.
I thought you called me Chad. Now I'm like, okay, I've never been called Chad.
Yeah, that would be. He's mentioning the fact he always liked to promote our joint show Subpellucid here, which is cool. Yeah, so I ran a show with him called Subpellucid, a very different kind of show than this altogether. Okay, so let's talk about a couple of other things. So we some best practices. We talked about the different visual elements, which you've masterfully shown and illustrated, and really illustrated how I should up my game here, and many of us, I guess, should, in a positive way. Now let's talk a little bit about what when things go wrong. You brought this up as something you want to discuss. So let's go for it. What kind of things have gone wrong for you? And what have you done about it?
How long's the show? It would be quicker to say what didn't go wrong. Yeah. We've had the thing that I do. I have an email that I send to the people, and I printed it off. I'm not going to read all it to you because it actually is like 2 printed pages that I send people that a lot of them don't read it. But I tell them what you need, what not to do. Don't have your window at noon behind you, and then you just look like a witness protection, silhouette thing, and people can't see you. I tell them that this show is being viewed by people from around the world, sometimes 6,000-7,000 views. We average 1,500 to 2,000, 3,000, sometimes 6,000 or more views. So you want to look your best and sound your best.
Yeah.
There's so many people that have crappy cameras, crappy sound. They're in McDonald's, the one, in the back of their car or something, at McDonald's parking lot to get their Wi-Fi. We've had guests that the day before we did the test and it was perfect, crystal clear, wonderful. And then they come on before, and I used to get thumbnails right off of the screen, to use for the Facebook thumbnail. But now I use their promo picture because it's always clear, hopefully. But the whole show looked like dial-up from, the 1990s. It was staticky. It was horrible. They were cutting in. They were freezing. We always have videos to go to, other things to go to behind the scenes that if they don't go well, we have videos of Franz. We can go over different things. We have 2 different guests now usually on the show. First one opening act and then the main one usually. And sometimes that are just 2 that are just as famous and just as great that they each fill up 45 minutes or so. But there's always something to fall back on. Franz is a very, very well-known magician in the magic world around the world. So we can do Q&A with him. There's always that plan B. It's not like, oh, our guest is gone. We lost connection. I mean, I've lost connection. I've run and got my computer upstairs. Franz was outside in his house in the Hollywood Hills and lost his battery. And it was a show that had a really, really top guest on. And I finished the show. I can do the show, no problem. There was another situation where my son was having surgery, and I brought my computer just to keep me occupied when he was having surgery. And it turned off the case or two before him was longer. To make a long story short, rather than being home down in my studio to do the show, I found a doctor's consultation office that I talked the security guard into letting me use. And I did the live show with Michael Carbonaro from the Carbonaro Effect from True TV. Great. It was like my ultimate guest that I wanted. So I'm here in this doctor's office, consultation room, doing the live show from there. So be prepared. Have your computer with you. Don't think that you're going to be home in time. Always have, if A fails, what is B? And sometimes B is, hey, the show's shorter. We'll tune in next time. Sorry about that, but at least you do something. Don't skip going live. Go live anyways.
Yeah.
Tell them, that you have no connection or this and that, but don't leave your audience hanging or else they might not come back. So yeah, always have a plan B of some way, shape, or form.
Yeah, I've had a show where I had internet blackout and my guests just continued the show by themselves. They did a fantastic job. Makes me feel a little bit unnecessary, but so let's. You mentioned your shows. Let's show a few photos here on this and maybe share.
Yeah, I started out the first one I did was through Franz Ferrari. It was a 3-minute spot. It was called More Science of Magic, and I drove a car blindfolded through the streets of LA, and I am a very easy guy to work with. I'm very personable with people. From the camera guy to the guy picking up garbage. I mean, when I was hosting the main Discovery Channel series that I'll talk about in a second, we'd have new people on the set, and I wasn't to makeup and wardrobe yet, and they'd help them carry in cords and whatever. And when they found out I was the star of the show, they came and apologized. I'm so sorry. I didn't know you were the star. Because in Hollywood, there's that, the pecking order or whatever. And I'm like, dude, I'm a guy from Michigan. I was doing magic shows last week, and now I'm the host of a TV series. I love helping people. So it was easy to work with. And they said, you want to host a game show? No audition needed, anything. And I had no contract until the show was already produced. And in Hollywood, once again, there's that pecking order. So the talent's here, and then the producer and all that's up there. They were doing some things on this game show that didn't make sense, that if they didn't connect these dots, they were going to have to fly all the contestants and everything back in because the whole show wouldn't make sense. So I went up to the producer and I said, look, I know I'm just the host, but I have some things to tell you because you're screwing things up. And I'm sorry, I don't even want to tell you this, but if I don't, crap's going to hit the fan pretty soon. So I told them what I said, and they're like, we didn't think of that. Oh my God, tell us more. I ended up getting a co-producer credit for my first main show on Discovery Channel, which is unheard of. But that was thrill rides put to the test. It was at a game show at an amusement park. And, there's a makeup, the makeup lady powdering my head because it gets shiny, behind the scenes reading the script. And it was just a blast. So they said, if you work well on this one, we have you in mind for, there I am in the stroller with the costume lady shoving me, anything for a laugh. We have you in mind for a show called More Than Human. And I thought, it's just them talking. Maybe they just want me to work with them better or whatever. But More Than Human came about, and More Than Human was on right before and right after Mythbusters. And 2 reruns a week, and the one being premiere a week. So 3 times a week on Discovery Channel. And that was a ton of fun. That's them hooking me up to a lie detector machine, and they had all these CIA and FBI experts.
That's the most scary lie detector machine I've ever imagined.
Oh, it was. There was a voice thing. There was a pupil eye detector and the regular lie detector. I was hooked up like crazy. And then we had, sword swallowers. That's George the Giant. He's 7'3". We still keep in touch. World's tallest, it's almost my height kneeling down. but it was a blast to work on. And, I've been doing the entertainment stuff since, like I said, since I had a pretty full head of hair. So it's been a long time. Talking about keeping audience interacted. Oh, there's another one too. This guy, the guy with the long hair on the right, has gone over Niagara Falls like 3 or 4 times in a barrel. The one time we had him on was he did a bungee jump in, I think it was Tampa, and the bungee thing with like 6 people on it or whatever snapped, and they all hit the water. So that was an actual human skeleton and a gel thing that we dropped from a helicopter to see how it would, react to hitting the water or hitting land, and pretty much like Mythbusters. Talking about keeping the audience involved, Franz, for whatever reason, called me up a few months ago before the show, and he said, why don't we do a topless episode? Our views are going down. We need to spice things up again. I have the world's god-awful hairiest fat body. I don't even like to look at it. But for the laugh, we ended up doing the naked episode, and our main guest on the upper right, Joaquin Ayala there, we had guests, former guests come on to ask questions. They were topless. The one lady on the bottom right put a piece of tape to blur herself. But from topless episodes to anything else, keep your audience engaged. But I don't suggest going like topless where you could get knocked off of the internet. And there's the logo for the show, Franz Ferrari Talking Magic. It used to be called Quarantine Talk, but we decided to change it to Talking Magic just as as things start opening up, we can keep on going. It's Tuesdays at 9 p.m. Pacific, 6 p.m. Pacific, 9 p.m. Eastern on the Franz Ferrari. Talk about somebody that has his name screwed up constantly. Franz Ferrari fan page on Facebook. So
it's wow. You're like you're such a great storyteller. I don't have to do anything here.
Sorry.
Which is great. I mean, awesome storytelling, and really fascinating to see and hear your stories. And I love the fact that you're willing to do anything on camera. I recall who was it who when the Google Glass came out. Remember those Google Glasses?
Yeah, that's kind of what that looked like.
And he went and did and filmed himself in the shower wearing those glasses, and that got this showing that they can be waterproof.
Yeah,
and it was just like one of these things that was just mind blowing, because it got like a million views overnight. This was back in 2010, 4. It must have been 2014. I'm guessing something like that. And that kind of those kind of stunts, they really go a long way when you're creating a show. So just thinking outside the box like that is great. But of course, you can't do that every single episode.
No, it would be cold.
Yeah. Cold. It would be cold. But I did want to share a little discovery I had. And I know it might seem a little obvious to some of you, but for me, it was a big deal. So if you notice, my something for a year now, I've been trying to figure out, why do I look so flat on the screen? In reality, I'm not flat, but it somehow always ends up being flat. And then I bought my camera. Actually, I had a tripod right here, and it wasn't secured correctly. And one day, I'm sitting here at my desk, and I hear this whoosh, sound. And as I'm hearing it, I look back, and I see the tripod, just the leg of the tripod wasn't secure, and it just goes like tilting over. And it was like this time slowed down, and I see it tilting, and I'm reaching out, but can't do it fast enough. Hit the floor, my lens broke. So I got a new lens, and it came with this pack of free filters. Simple enough filters, real filters, not the digital filters, not the software filters. And lo and behold, look what the filter does. So I'm switching to my other camera right now. And watch this. So now we're like at the optometrist.
It's like, yeah, does it look better with number 1 or number 2? Number 1?
A or B, right? So yeah, makes a big difference. And this is just, which one is this? This is just the, oh, no, I need to do this, right? So this is a UV filter.
Your lenses, Daniel, pop out your lenses.
Pop out the lenses, yeah, but then I have to stand up closer to the camera. So it's just a UV lens, and you just kind of put it right in there.
I like it.
And that's it. And what it does is it really takes out a bit of it cleans up the light and makes you pop out a bit more and gives you a bit more 3D. And they're very cheap. I mean, you can buy, there's some of these, you can buy them from all kinds of influencers online that'll make their own custom look and sell you this exact same lens, probably for some ridiculous price. But these are like, I don't even know, it came free, but it's probably like $10 or something. So now I need to get the same one for the other camera.
The one thing, and I don't know if it was Sean Cannell or Nick Nimmin or D Nimmin or Daniel Battelle, whoever I was watching, they mentioned the hair light. I think it was one of the guests actually on Franz's show, Talking Magic, told me that adding that hair light, you can kind of see the reflection on the chair, on my bald head. That separates you
from the background.
Yeah. It did, and I've only done it a few months now, but it's done wonders to get rid of that flat look as well.
Right. So
it's all about.
Let me just explain what a hair light is for those who are watching and haven't heard of this. So, and we've talked about this in other shows. A hair light essentially is a light that sits right about here, right? So it's about up. You need some kind of boom or something. Yep, there you go, just behind you, and it just shines a light gently on your hair. That's what's called a hair light. So it helps define the you from the background. And this is also great if you're using green screens, any kind of AI. So if you're, some of the like Google Meets and Zooms and all of those, they have the automatic removal of the background. If that's not working too well, a hair light will help with that. If you're using StreamYard's green screen, that'll help. I
use an Amazon device, so I can tell her, Alexa, turn center light red. Now watch it not work. There we go. I can tell her to adjust my lights if they're too bright, if the hair light is too bright or too low, if the umbrella light, everything but my ring light. I can just sit here and adjust, so I don't have to keep going back and forth in front of the camera. I can just talk to her. Alexa, turn center light orange. There you go. And that doesn't look too orange, but you can adjust all these things just with your voice.
Now
I realize I don't have any hair. Thank you.
I don't have any hair. Now, are you on Wi-Fi?
Right, bald light. No, I'm on Ethernet right now.
You're on Ethernet because every time you call Alexa, your picture freezes.
You know what? And I am seeing we were having problems with Huawei cable, Huawei internet. And I am seeing on my little StreamYard, which is new to me, where it's saying the connection's a little bit low and it's going up and down. So it's weird. Huawei is having problems, and it's all Ethernet. So that's very, very. It's a wow problem, which I am not wowed with at the moment.
Now, so for those of you who are having internet problems or internet issues, some routers allow you to have to set a priority device or set a quality, what do they call it? Quality of connection, I think something else. So each router might have a different name for this feature, where essentially to prioritize your device over any other. Another thing to do is to make sure you quit any kind of applications that will go online to the internet. So if you, just cracking me up here.
You can look at me. You can see me looking down, quoting all my applications.
Yeah. So for example, if you have your email client, if that's running, if you got your email client running in the background, it might download a big attachment all of a sudden. You don't even think about it, and that could be like a 2 gig attachment. It just slows down your internet right there. Right. So quit everything. You got Spotify, whatever. These things keep going online all the time. Slack. You don't know what's going on. So do not disturb if you got that, if you got a Mac, and quit the devices because they just keep going on. And then if you don't have priority device set up on your router, try to get everything else in the house also to quit. So if you have kids that are now going to go live, or
my wife's working
Zoom,
from home, my two kids are in college. Yeah, it gets crazy. And also with the Wi-Fi, and I know it's scary about the microwave, but when they were to use the microwave, the Wi-Fi would screw up. So I'd be doing a show and I'd say, "Stop cooking ramen." My wife is Japanese. "Stop cooking ramen in the microwave." The microwave screws up Wi-Fi signals like crazy around here.
It does, and you depending on the router, you can choose an alternate bandwidth and some of the routers will actually automatically look for new bandwidth, but nothing beats the landline for for quality. There's no question about it. Especially nowadays when you've got so many different devices. You got ring lights and Alexa, and so many things just randomly, and apps on your phones that just keep going online without anybody even knowing.
Somebody just said, turn off your time machine as well.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Yeah. So if you've got a time machine, and thanks, Christian, for that one. Yeah, that's a huge sucker of bandwidth. So if you've got that, you can program it to do your backups only during nighttime, etc. But all of these things, yeah. So the way I have it set up in my basement is I actually have my hardwire, my landline, hooked up directly to the router, and then I have my Wi-Fi hooked up to a splitter, and then I got my Wi-Fi hooked up behind the splitter. So I come in first, right? Yeah, I think that's I described it correctly. So my computer comes in first before anything else in the house. Everything else gets shared access on the splitter.
Gotcha. That's what I did. I did my direct from upstairs. I drilled the hole and have one line going from the router to my computer, and then another line going from the router to a splitter, and then the other one getting off the splitter.
Exactly. So in other words, you can put everything else in the house on some other splitter. You might need two splitters or a splitter on the router, but put everybody else on a shared splitter. Put yourself as close as possible to your main router, and that also takes care of a lot of these issues.
Yeah, I wish I was closer to the router for everything. I'm looking over my notes here. One thing that we do and we tease it at the beginning of Franz's show, and we do it at the end, is a T-shirt giveaway. Franz always a T-shirt, $900 value, some extravagant, lie of a value of the shirt. But people love the T-shirt, and we use the question at the end is something that happened during the show, whether something about the guest or something somebody else said or produced or whatever. So they have to kind of be there from the beginning and pay attention all the way through the show to win the T-shirt at the end. The thing that I've noticed on StreamYard and other formats, if I'm looking at my phone, sometimes it's even 10 seconds delayed from what I'm seeing on the computer or vice versa. So I tell people, whatever I see on my phone first is the winner. I'm not waiting for the StreamYard comments. I'm looking right on my phone and do a screen capture so I have it. We've had some people, I was first, but no, whatever's on my phone is the actual winner. You could also use wheelofnames.com or the other, there's numerous other things. But just be aware that the comments that you're seeing sometimes might be delayed 10 seconds or so from what you're seeing on the screen. One more tip. I have so many things written down that I want to get through.
Yeah, let me just comment on that delay. Everybody keeps asking about the delay, how to stop the delay. The delay is caused by many things. The delay between StreamYard and the destinations is usually less than a second. Okay, we've really worked on this. So we have a very, very tight connection with the destinations. It depends on the destination. Some of them have a bit more, but delays are natural in any streaming, because if somebody is, say, on Facebook and then they pause or they move out of the app, then come back in or go picture in picture, it'll pause and then come back to where it was, right? So they are watching now by their own choice, if you will, in delay. And so by definition, right now, some of you are watching or hearing us or hearing me right this minute speak maybe 10, 15, 20, 30 seconds behind time, even longer sometimes, right? So that's the delay is just something you have to live with. It's something that's built in, and you just have to plan around it.
I could die right now and you guys would think I was alive for another 10 seconds.
10 seconds, yeah.
Another thing I do, and I don't know if I covered this, like I said, the ADD brain is kicking in. I will keep an eye on my guests down below. The guests can't see the other guests down below, but you that are in charge of the StreamYard show can see the guests. So I will not bring up Franz, for example, if he's drinking or whatever. I'll keep it a one shot just of the guest or whatever. I also I know I mentioned this before the show, and I hope if I did now, it's a repeat, or for those that are just tuning in.
Yeah.
I text Franz. I don't use a private message because he doesn't. We never really use a private chat. Some of the guests do. We tell them they can if they're having an issue or have to go to the bathroom or whatever. But I will text Franz, and then I will go. I'll take myself off the screen and have Franz or the guest on. I'll text him, and then I'll be down below going, and he will see out of his peripheral vision that I'm doing it, and he'll nod to me or whatever, and he'll check, and then I'll bring the guest on full screen, and he'll check his messages or vice versa. He'll be waving it to me saying, let's wrap the show up, or go to video now, or I'll text him. I'm not going to mention which guests, and I'll say, let's get to the videos. Let's get out of here.
Let's move on to the next segment.
Let's move on to something, because this is long and boring. I'm losing my attention, and I'm part of the show. So I will. Texting is great, and make sure your phone's on vibrate. But text, if you have a co-host, text them rather than the private chat, because the guests can see the private chat. So if I'm like, this is just drawing on, or tell them to get to the video, they'll look at it and go, ooh.
Oh,
texting.
We've all been there, yeah. Although I'm much more blunt than you are. I will tell people in the private chat, like, it's time to move on. I'll just, be very direct with them. And I think not in a mean way, but just like, that's just the reality of the show. We've got another, it's time to move on to the next segment or what have you. That's, there's nothing, I don't see anything wrong with that. But if you want to be more discreet in that way, then this is a great point to note. And I love this cue. I love that. So you can use this cue for anything. You can see
right? It's like, yeah.
It could be a cue for whatever you agree on.
Just look at the text. Did you see it? And then I can see if he read it, because he has a connected order. So some people don't show when they read it, but I can see that he at least brought it up, and we'll nod and we'll give a thumbs up or whatever. After doing 100 shows, we have it down pat pretty much. And it took probably 30 shows to be not as stressed.
Yeah.
It was always like, then I'd stay up and try to edit stuff. And we do a little 3-minute countdown timer. We learned this from somebody that has over 1 million Facebook followers and YouTube followers, a real social media guru, magician guy. And we do it's like a 3-minute, but you can do 1-2 minute countdown. So let's say you start at 9 o'clock Eastern time, like we do. I'll start a countdown timer 2 or 3 minutes before that and go live. So those tuning in right at 9 will find the show, and it'll be great. But there's a lot of people that we do our intros and say who's going to be on the show or whatever, and Facebook or what have you is getting late telling them that the show's going to be live. So by the time they tune in, we're 2 or 3 minutes into the show, and we've already talked about who's on the show and everything else. So by having that 2 or 3 minute timer that I edit out after the show is over, in most cases, sometimes Facebook doesn't let me and I just leave it on, but usually they do. I can trim off that little timer, and then for the replays, you don't see that timer. Another thing we do after one of our guests said something that they shouldn't have said, and somebody called and threatened to sue and whatever, whole long story, we have a little disclaimer. Basically, anything somebody says on the show is not necessarily that of Franz Ferrari Productions or whatever. We have a little disclaimer that goes on for 3 seconds or so right before the main show starts that we keep on all the time, just in case somebody calls somebody out or says something that could get the show in trouble. But whatever.
That's a whole big thing of itself, right? Getting the show in trouble. And we've talked many times in the show about bringing in copyrighted material that'll get you in trouble and shut down very quickly.
We got shut down. We had a guy that won AGT. Well, we had Shin Lim that won AGT and then won the AGT World Cup and everything. Another guy, Aaron Crow, was on AGT and got really high up there. And we can see, like right now, I can see how many, since I'm signed up through your account, I can see how many people are watching right now, which is a great number. It went to 0. And we're watching, because Franz and I love to see, how many people are we have, and Franz loves to see how many views. Let's check. How many views do we have? And it went to 0. And I'm looking at it, and then I go back to the comments, and the last comment was 10 minutes ago or whatever. So then we're like, are we just doing the shows for ourselves?
Yeah.
We had showed a clip of this guy on AGT, and AGT shut us down. They didn't. Sometimes we'll get a thing, even with Franz's documentaries that we've showed, some of his shows, we get this one particular company that claims it's theirs. Twice the same company shut us down, but then we could dispute it. But America's Got Talent, Aaron didn't own the clip. We didn't own the clip. The whole show was shut down. But luckily in StreamYard, we could go back, download it within 2 weeks, and I went and edited out all the America's Got Talent clips and uploaded it again. We didn't have the same views on it because it wasn't live and hyped and everything. The one that was hyped had to be removed, or was removed. Stay away from copyrighted music. Stay away from TV clips. We've used them sometimes, but after getting totally shut down, never again. Never again.
Yeah, I loved the story. That we had somebody here on the show that told their story where they're a musician. They created their own music and they copyrighted it. And then they used it in one of the shows and it got flagged for copywriting and shut down. So they told Facebook, but it's my music. And Facebook, we don't know whose music it is. We just know it's copyrighted. And so we shut you down.
Yeah, they don't care. They don't care what because they don't want to get in trouble either.
Yeah.
They don't want to get in trouble either. Another thing that I'll do, so I'm not clickety click, and I don't know if I should have checked off what I talked about, is on my screen I have a notes program, so I can copy and paste the guest's link or whatever.
Yeah.
I have a whole rundown of the ones that we always do, and I can just copy and paste it into comments as we go. Also, if for some reason, like you did in this case, if you give somebody the code to get backstage in the main portion, we had a guy on one time that used to use our account to do his show and this and that. We did shows together. So he signed on, but he didn't realize that he was signed on through our main account. So there was another guest on, a lady on there, and it came up as Franz Ferrari telling her, "I love your hair. Did you do something new with your hair? I love your hair." And Franz and I are looking going, here's Franz Ferrari telling our guest during the show, "I love your hair. It's so cute." But this was our other friend that happened to be on the system backstage, as one of our guests doing the comments to the right on the screen. So he was commenting as Franz and not as himself. So let the people know if you invite anybody to be totally backstage with you with that special code that they need, that whatever comments they make are coming through as the show and not as you. There's times that I'll have my computer set up and I'll go as my fan page, the John Pullum fan page, and comment on that. But if I do it through this main account, I'm going to go through as currently a StreamYard. But in my case, I'm Franz Ferrari making all those comments. So be aware of who you give access to your StreamYard backstage. Because if they're commenting and telling somebody they look nice and, man, you're looking great today, that's coming through as you. So.
Okay, well, we've reached a point in the show where we're watching the little. Wait, let me.
Daniel's going like this to Joanne.
I'm trying to figure out. No, we're watching. So we're watching right up there. I can see it. Actually, you guys can't see it, but there's a little indicator of how many people are watching, and it's been holding very steady, and it just dropped by 2, which is a signal to me that it's time to move on to our next segment, our last final segment, which is where you, John, not Paul, are going to pick a winner of our mug. And Joanne's going to show a mug. Here we go. Aha. And we're going to do our giveaway. So all you have to do is use the hashtag #LoveStreamYard. And we're going to wait for that delay we talked about to go through here. So #LoveStreamYard. And you can put a duck in there if you want. But that's just the hashtag we use. And John is going to pick one lucky winner from one of you wonderful people who comment with the hashtag. And you're going to win a mug. If you've already won a mug before, we'll figure something out. Maybe you'll win something else. Maybe we'll do something else.
You have pillows. You have so many cool things.
We've got so many cool things and more coming. And now we've got Hopin stuff as well. That's also, we're going to have that available soon.
You have what?
Hopin. So Hopin is our parent company. Some people haven't heard the news that we were acquired by Hopin back in January, and that opened up a whole new resource center for us. So we have more personnel, more assets, more access to all kinds of things, including Hopin products. So if you're an event manager and you're interested in Hopin in creating virtual events, check out Hopin and ask them. Maybe we can introduce you to the right people there if you need. So we do occasionally run sort of cross promotions as well. So watch out for that. And let's see. Yeah, love StreamYard. Lots of them coming in. Any final words before you pick your winner, John?
I think I covered everything, but the main thing, another little trick that I learned just out of trying it, if you have 4 or more guests on your StreamYard screen at once, I always try to go, I don't like going this way, especially with magicians, because you could be over here, you have to be, we sometimes have 2 guests, so I like the landscape mode. But if you have 4 or more guests on your screen at once, click that vertical mode. Click that vertical option, the second one in, and it brings everybody together, and it makes everybody's screens a little bit bigger. But it has to be 4 or more people. The one suggestion I gave Joanne that I would love to see on StreamYard is when you have somebody just up here, like we have our magic guests doing their magic, and there could be stuff over here. It would be great if there was an option like there is right now with us where that name is gone. So when you bring them full screen, if you could take off their name to save that little extra little space. That's the only other suggestion I give to StreamYard. But if you hit that vertical thing, it'll make everybody's screen come in and a little bit bigger, so you don't have all those gaps. Also, I don't even tell them, if you hear somebody's mic going weird, sometimes we'll get, I don't know if it's the earbuds or what, but we'll get like a popcorn type sound. I'll mute the person. I don't wait for them to mute themselves. They're talking, they're whatever, they're still in the green room part, they're still active, and I'll just mute them. And there's times with guests, if it's just so bad, we just say, sorry, it's not working, come back, try to reboot. The one guy couldn't hear us. One of the last shows, I played a video, and for whatever reason with StreamYard or Wi-Fi or whatever, Franz couldn't even see the video come up. He said it never came up on the screen, but it came up for everybody else. So there's different issues where you might have to have the person, and don't mind telling the guest to sign off and sign back in. That's where that plan B comes into place, where you have other things to work with. So that's it. Hit that vertical thing next time you have 4 more people, and you'll notice a big change. Because I was worried the first time. I thought it was going to make all of us, vertical, but it didn't. So how should I pick the winner? Should I just scroll up and down? And I'm not going to look, and I might hit a comment that's not I love StreamYard, so then I'll hit it again. But I am not looking, and I'm going to click. Tell me if I clicked one.
You did.
Did I?
Yeah. I can't.
I'm going to let you pronounce that name, Daniel, just because I love you.
I need to do this, I guess. Fiao. I hope I pronounced that correctly.
Let's just call her Paul. Paul Pullman.
Paul Pullman.
Instead of John Pullum.
Okay, there we go.
How does Fiao get a hold of you?
So Fiao, just send us an email at marketing@streamyard.com with your address, and there you go.
Winner.
Thank you so much for that, John.
You can keep it.
And Fiao, just send us an email to marketing@streamyard.com with your address, and we'll ship it out to you wherever you are in the world, as long as it's legal for us to ship it there.
How many have you shipped out so far?
Oh, many. Well, for this show, I haven't even counted. I don't know if Joanne knows how many shows we've had. We've been running the show now for 4 or 5 months or so. So it's you can do the math. We have a bunch of other shows, and then other ways. There are other ways to win stuff. We have Fan Friday posts every Friday where you can win things by just doing a simple task, like writing a little recommendation or what have you, saying why you love StreamYard, all kinds of different things. We have sometimes there are different activities we can do, or if we see somebody that just did something really nice for the brand and posted something really cool online, we might proactively reach out to them and say, hey, we have a little gift for you. So we do that as well. So different ways to win stuff. And I know some of you out there have multiple StreamYard goodies from just because you deserve it. So that's awesome. Anyway, I think we are done, pretty much done for today.
Thank you so much. I appreciate you guys asking me here. And just to sum it up, keep it busy on the screen for people. Switch back. Oh, one other real quick thing. There's times that Franz or whoever is talking and they're still talking and I know they're getting ready to ask the question and I'll switch back to the guest. The guest isn't, I'm still talking, but you're seeing the reactions from the person even if they're not talking. And even if they're laughing about a story or whatever, it keeps people occupied and it also keeps your guests on the toes because they don't know what they're doing. So if you make me happy, once again, you can subscribe to my YouTube channel. Thank you very much, Daniel, for having me on the show. Thank you, Joanne, for all your hard work on this. I know what you're doing behind the scenes, and it's a lot of work. So I appreciate you guys. Thank you so much.
Thanks again to Joanne. Thanks to you for all of you for joining us here as you do every week. And we'll see you next week.